For this drawing, they've asked us to go and complete the top view as it is given there, and then the sectional front view. So I'm going to start by quickly doing the top view, and then we'll have a longer look at how to go and draw the sectional front view. Okay, now that we've got the complete top view, if you have a look carefully here, you'll see that they've put in a cutting plane marked AA, and if you have a look at the direction of the arrows tells you in which direction we're going to be looking at to go and draw the sectional front view. So if I take my set square, anything underneath my set square over there is what's going to be cut off, and then we're going to draw what we're going to be able to see from this side. And if we look carefully over here, once we cut through there, we're going to be able to see the inside of these circles over there, and the inside part of this over here as well. Okay, if we go down and we have a look at what's been given to us over here, they've shown us what that front view is supposed to look like without it being cut. We're going to be able to see most of the hidden detail that they've given there once we cut through this. Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at getting that now. The best way to start, of course, is to go and project off of this view. Okay, we are going to put in a 20mm gap between our two views. Okay, we can also put in an XY line over there just so we can separate them, same as what we would do for any normal third angle orthographic projection drawing. Okay, so we put that in over there, and then the other thing we need to start doing now is projecting down to be able to draw that front view. So I'm just going to project the edges down for starters, take those two edges down for the length. It tells me here that I've got a height of 73mm. Okay, but I'm working from top down because of the space, so my 10mm gap between there and my XY line is over here, and I'm going to have a look quickly and see that's 73. If that's 73 and this hole was 40, then from that center point up will be 20, so the total height of my shape is 93. So I'm going to measure 93mm down, and I'm going to mark that off, and I know now that that's the bottom of my shape. And even though I'm cutting through the shape, I know that the entire baseline here is still going to be a dark line, so I can draw that in straight away. And then I've got a height here of 14mm up for that base part, so I'm going to go and draw in that 14mm so long. I also know that that's going to be a dark line still, so I'll draw in that 14mm. And then I've got a dark line coming all the way across here, but I'm not going to draw that in yet, because when I cut through this shape, part of that dark line is actually going to disappear. Okay, because part of it goes through this hole over here, and I'm going to be able to see that hole when I cut that part over there off. Okay, I'm going to be able to see into that hole, so some of that top line over there I'm not going to actually see anymore. I'll just draw it in as a construction line for now, so that I know that it's still there. Okay, now with my cutting line in over there, it cuts through this hole over here. That's that hole there. It cuts through that hole, so I am actually going to be able to see inside that hole. So those two lines that would normally have been hidden detail lines, okay, in line with that hole, if I just project that down, I now can draw in a dark line over here and another dark line in line with it over there. Okay, because I can see into that hole, which means that those two lines there, okay, that's those 2 points over there that get cut through, they're going to be dark lines now. Okay, then the other thing that I can do as I go across over here, I need to go and draw in the bottom part of this hole over here. But if we look carefully, you'll see that that hole is 8mm down from the top of this part. So let me get that top part in there first, which is 6mm up. Okay, I'm just going to draw that in. That's 6mm up over there, which they've indicated. And I'll draw in a construction line for that. And that's the top part of that one hole. And then it says over here that 8mm down is the depth of that big hole. Okay, you see that 8 millimeters there? That's the depth of the big hole, which is the second circle on the inside over here. So I'm just going to go and measure that 8 millimeters down from that 6 millimeter line. Okay, and once we've got that mark, over there, we're going to then put in another construction line just so that we know where that is. And then we're going to take the edge of that big line, okay, that you can see over there. So the big line, the big circle, the edges of that big circle over there, we're going to take those down and we're going to draw them in as dark lines, because remember, as we cut through this now, we're going to actually be able to see that big circle, which is that big hole over there. Okay, so we're going to go and draw that in, and we're going to go and draw that in as well. Okay, now we've got those two dark lines in there, okay, for that part of the hole. Then we want to put in the smaller hole at the bottom over here in dark as well. So I'm just going to project the side of the smaller hole down, and I'm going to draw that line in dark because we'll be able to see the edge of the hole now that we're cutting into this. We'll be able to see it on both sides, there and there. Okay, and then we are also going to be able to see this dark line over here, which separates those two holes. Now, a lot of times guys leave out this line over here, but remember that you can still see that line, because even though you've cut this piece over here off, you can still see the back edge of that circle there. And that back edge of that circle is that line over there. So that line still has to be in there. And then we're going to finish off this top part over here. So that's in line with our bigger circle. So I'm just going to project that down. So that's our bigger circle. There's our bigger circle. Okay, and then the other part that I need to project down is this point over here. Now note where I'm projecting from. I'm projecting that from where it actually hits into the cutting line. There's a very small distance between those 2 points. I want the one from where it hits into the cutting line there, because that's where I've cut through and that's what I'm going to see. So I can easily go and then draw in a dark line between those 2 points. Okay, again, remember, you're still going to see that line there, even though this is a hole, because you can see the back end of that over there and the back end of this arc as well. So that line's still going to be there and it's still going to be dark. And then we can go and draw in this little line that comes down over here to meet up with that part of the base. And then you'll see that what I'm going to do here now on the right, I'm actually going to go and draw this little line in over here, because there's a very important rule that I'm going to go through now. Okay, and that is that this over here is what we call a rib. Okay, you can clearly see it over here. It's a piece over there. Okay, that piece over there that you can see in the top view clearly, that is a rib. It's a supporting piece. It doesn't have any other function in the part, and any supporting piece, okay, that piece has been put in there to support, okay, that edge there, and it's been put in to support this piece over here. Okay, so all that is there is supporting, and because that's a supporting piece, a rib, we don't section it. We don't actually cut that rib. So all of the outside lines, okay, the perimeter of that rib, all of those lines must still be drawn in. And then later on you'll see that we're not going to hatch that piece. We never ever hatch a rib when we can see the full face of the rib. That's its full face over there, and we're going to see that over here in our front view, so we're not going to hatch that rib at all. Okay, so to carry on, we can then go and we're going to be able to go and draw a line coming through here. But note that this piece over here comes up at an angle onto the edge of this over here. Okay, but even so, because this piece over here and that part are one, when we cut through this little joining line over there is actually going to disappear. So I'm going to just take this 8 millimeter line down over there, because when I go and draw in this top line now, I'm going to stop it when it gets to that 8 millimeter part there. And now you'll notice something else that I've done is that I have not drawn that line dark in over there, because remember, that's the hole. Okay, that line won't go through there because that's the back end of this hole on the inside here, so that line can't be drawn straight through there. Okay, but we're going to leave this gap open here, because when we cut through this piece over here, which is also a rib, okay, it's joined to this bottom piece here, and we're not going to see that little joining line that would be there anymore. That line's now out. We can draw this line going straight up now to the top of our shape. That's a perimeter line, we're still going to see it, and then we can take down the width of this top piece over here, okay, which was 25 millimeters wide, and we can go and draw in that line. Okay, then we were meant to go 40 millimeters down there to get the height of that top part, so I'm just going to go in 40 millimeters there. Okay, and that will be the height of that, and then to that corner over there is where our rib's meant to be joined, which is that corner there. So let me just draw the front line first over here. Okay, and then we can go and join up that corner to there to indicate our rib. And then we're going to go, and again over here, be careful now, we don't cut the rib, but we don't cut the rib that we see with the full face, but we do cut this rib over here. So we're going to draw in a dark line until we hit the edge of that rib there, and then we're going to draw a dark line coming down. Okay, but this face over here, you'll see there's no joining lines there at all because it's all one part. The other thing we are going to be able to see when we cut through this is the hole that's on the inside here. Okay, you can see it in the top view as well. It's a hole that goes right through that top face. Okay, see it goes right through over there. That's the diameter 24 hole. And because it's a hole, now when we cut straight through there, we are going to be able to see that. So that was a diameter 24 hole, which was meant to be 73 millimeters up from the base. So I'm going to measure my 73 millimeters up from the base, and that's meant to be that center line over there, and then it's meant to be a total of 24 millimeters wide, which is going to be 12 millimeters to each side of that center line. So I'm just going to mark off those two 12 millimeters, and then both of those lines are now going to be seen. So there'll be a dark line over there and a dark line in over there. Okay, now we've got all of that in, we can now go and double check that everything's in. You would think to yourself, hold on a second, there's another hole over here that we should be showing here, but be very careful. If you look carefully here, you'll see that that cutting plane does not go through either of those two holes. That hole sits in front of the cutting plane, that one sits behind it. So neither of those two holes are you going to actually see in this front view at all. So this front space over here must stay blank. Okay, now we can go and add in our hatching lines, which indicate what's been cut through. And remember, we don't hatch something that's a hole. Okay, so we're going to hatch through this piece over here on the side. That will hatch. Okay, we're also going to hatch this piece up top over here. Again, make sure that you try and put decently big lines in between. Okay, I'm going to finish off that hatching quickly, and then we'll get to re-explaining this over here. Okay, now you'll see that I've finished my hatching off, and just notice two things please, that when I was doing my hatching I realized there were two lines that shouldn't be in. It's those two lines over there that you can see I've taken out, and that's of course because this is one part and so is this. There shouldn't be any joining line in between this top part and here, so those two lines over there had to come out. Okay, and then you'll see that I've also included the center lines then for the drawing as well, just to finish it off. And then you'll see that I've left this space over here open. That's because, remember, I explained that that's my rib, and we don't cut a rib when we can see the full face of a rib, and that's what we can see in this sectional front view. Once you get to there, that then completes your sectional front view and your outside top view.